followed by black cloud, and that's no longer what's happening. Slowly, we grew to be conscious about that. But I'm not going to talk about that, don't worry. I'm going to talk about something else that worries me. So, for 30 years, I've been sitting in front of a computer, programming, doing stuff. Building stuff, I touch and enjoy lots of languages. The last 4 years, as I said yesterday, I focused on doing satellites. Before that, I spent like more than 15 years working professionally on security. And before that, I work on security a bit more. And I do other things too. I teach origami classes and present on other conferences on security, and wrote part of a book, and I don't know. You can go to the internet to find a bit more about me if you want. And though I've been doing technology, and I love technology for so many years, I don't use most of those applications. Because I decide not to use them. Because every time I'm about to install an application, I think what it means. So some of them I use. I like to think in a different way, because I think how I'm going to use the technology. All right? And why is that? Because everything we do, I'm really sorry this is again not a talk about small talk, but I hope it's meaningful for what we do. Everything we do online, it's obvious that everything we do leaves traces, and these traces are kept safely in secure places where people spend a lot of money on not losing these traces, and spend a lot of money on accumulating these traces forever, and no matter how big they are. Like, they buy more and more hard drives, and the databases are bigger and bigger, and it's forever, and I mean forever. Like 4 years from now, every click you've made is going to be, oh, that's a good song. Every click you've made is going to be stored in a database. And that's because there's money in it. There's money. There's people making money out of our information. So we're not really the customers of all these applications. We're the raw products, and they're mining us for money. So that's why there is so much in that business. Like big data and user experience is one thing, but then analyzing massive amount of information is different thing, all right? For example, Google stores every place we've been to. This is just a week in the life of one of my friends, where we actually traveled together to the US, from there to there. We entered New York on one airport and left on the other. And this is in Buenos Aires, where he moves around. You can go and see your whole history. And he never activated that, all right? You can go and deactivate it. I actually invite you to go to location history. The same goes for the search history on Google. This is every search, that's another word. Every search you've made on Google, all right? It's going to be stored there. They have it. You can go and see it, and it's private for you. Yeah. And all Google's employees, and everybody who has access to that, and they're monetizing that, selling this information actively, even if it's not directly access to their database, they're doing services on top of that, like the advertisement. So they are selling information. You can go and see it, and you can go and delete it. And that's what I did when I was preparing this talk. And I deleted something that was on my list, and it was something I did on October 9th. But while I deleted it, and it's not showing up in that list, they still have the information to color on the calendar. It was so obvious for me. They still have the information. And it's actually, this is what I deleted. So it's still there. They have it. I can't see it anymore. They have it. All right? And it's like this everywhere. This is the activity of 5 WhatsApp users. So this is time, and this is how much time they spend online, cumulative, during 2 days. This is when they sleep, over there and over there. This is when they wake up. This is when they go back to bed. This one's a late one. This is when they talk, all right? And we took the logs for 160 people in a friend's phone book, and we logged all the activity. This is from public things. We just use the tools everybody has, but we use them. So we log every time somebody goes away and every time somebody comes back from our way. Just log that. Like if you put somebody to write down when the guy is green or not on the phone, all right? And so we later use, this so far, all right? We use some different distances or measurements to see how two users relate, all right? Similar, this is the same distance Gabi presented yesterday for the code critics, pretty much. So a yellow red dot means somebody is talking to somebody, just because they were online at the same time. But they were online at the same time during some days. So that shows sort of a pattern. And that's a very simple analysis. You could do more advanced stuff, right? But just from a very simple log, very simple activity log, we can tell who talks to who with some good probability. We can do further analysis. We can distinguish groups of people talking to each other. You can see there. We can figure out graphs of people talking to each other just from one very simple log. I'm trying to invite you to this word, the dimension of this word. And we did that with their standard tools. I installed WhatsApp. We both, actually, Vila worked on this too, the guy from the office. We installed WhatsApp on Linux and configured the program we use, Pidgin, just to log stuff. This is what we do. Nothing weird, no security bug, just the raw information. But, of course, WhatsApp, the people behind WhatsApp, which is Facebook, have all this information. They also have all the messages we send, the content. And they have our phone book, because the first thing WhatsApp does is upload the phone book to their servers. So they have lots more of information. And the same goes for all things, like they log everything we explicitly tell them, like our word posts or tweets or interests or videos. Of course they log that, what we tell them, but they also log all our activity. Like with Google Ads, Google knows every time we go to mostly every page on the internet. So they not only know what we do, where we are, our emails, they also know every page we go, because they have the Google Ads on every page, and they get a hit on their web server, and they log it. Apple knows our locations, because our phones can tell us where we are based on the Wi-Fi networks around us, but to do that, they send the networks we see to their servers, and then get the information back, so Apple knows where we are all the time. Many other things. Is derived information, intelligence on top of information. And they can tell things like your politic inclination. Like Facebook announced last week they're going to share, this is a news post, okay? I'm not making it up. Last week, they make me update my presentation. And just to have a dimension of the size of the data we're talking about, 1 terabyte is a good size disk we like to have, or we have. It's like a good size, all right? Google has 15 million terabytes, 15 million hard drives. That's the amount of information they have. Of course, they have 1.6 billion users, of which 500 million is active every month. They now talk about monthly active users. So Facebook has 1.3 billion monthly active users. People logging in and doing stuff on Facebook every month. And it's 1 billion on mobile devices. And every day, 829 million logs in every day. The amount of information they handle is amazing. It's 52,000 likes a second. All right? 350 mega photos a day. The amount of information we're giving them, it's amazing. They save it all. They know more about us, of course, than ourselves, because they have infinite memory. And the numbers continue to grow up. It's completely out of any dimension. Without mentioning other players who have access to all that information without further notice, and also have their own amazing computing power and storage. I can't believe it, but they claim they're building a facility for that number I can't pronounce of terabytes. All right? And this is how it looks. This is the servers. One facility, because Google has many and Amazon has many. This is how it looks. I'm not kidding. Like, they really have it. All right? And what can they do today? What's the difference? I mean, we've been watched all the time. The difference is that we can everything we do now, because technology has permeated every aspect of our life now. Even if when we walk on the street, there are cameras looking at us. Like in the States, the police has access to a database where they can put any license plate, and they know where the car was, like everywhere where the car was, just because they do real-time OCR on the license plates from the cameras on the street. All right? And the same can go with face recognition. I'd be surprised if they're not doing it now or in 5 years. I mean, the same thing. So they can enter any database, their database, which is not secure, by the way, and see where anybody has been. They can do it today with their cars. So the difference is the amount of information that can be stored and the amount of processing power that can be used today to munch this information and translate it into more things. So they can get everybody in the country and throw a node on a graph on a table, and then decide any kind of relationships, like if they send an SMS to each other, or if they've been on the same location for more than 5 minutes, or whatever you can dream about, and then create graphs and connect people and color the graphs and know who sent a Twitter, who was retweeted, and figure out who's more influence, who's a source of influence in the network, or who's most respected, or whatever. And this is what they actually did for the last elections in the US. At one point, between Obama's 2 terms, the campaign, figure out that if they got the same people to vote for them again, they win again. So they put a group of mathematicians, physicians, or physics, yeah, thank you, and some physicians, because, and they started to munch all these numbers, and at some point they put a list of 69 something million names of the people they thought they voted for them. All right, so they have a very long list of names of people, and they went to each of them with special advertisement to convince them to vote for them again, to vote first and then to vote for them again. And they went further than that. They identify who was most influential in this team, and they target them and turn them into their voices to the other groups. And one very clear sign of that, I'm going very slow, but whatever. One very clear sign of that is that the other party was reviewing the advertisement numbers, because they are public, where each campaign buys advertisement in the country, in TV. It's based on TV. And they were surprised, and they didn't understand what the other party was doing, what Obama's campaign team was doing. And for me, that was an obvious sign that what they were doing is what the computer told them to do. All right, so they were using the computer to find out where to advertise. 5 minutes in this very small town over there that nobody cares about because there was somebody there who was influential to a good number of people. And that's what they were doing. And I'm repeating things other people said in this conference, but I'm going to do it anyway. Technology gives you superpowers. It lets you be a magician. And I'm not talking about just technology. Any technology, like a bow and an arrow lets you kill animals in the long distance. And for somebody else who's watching that doesn't know about that, it's like magic. Or the wheel lets you go farther or move things that are very heavy. Like technology lets you do things other people can't do. And the same goes for this technology. And this technology is now everywhere in our life. So if people have the ability to control this technology just because they know how to do it, not because they have more money or something. It's just because they know how to do it. They have superpowers, in our views. Now, what could happen? This is studies that I've been following. They mix faces. And they can do a face you like, but you do not really recognize. And I can think of good uses for that, for advertisement purposes. Like, they don't really need to pay an actor and then still get a nice face. But then there are other factors. Like, for example, if they mix two faces that you know of two of your friends, and then the result they mix with other faces and ask you which one you trust more, you choose you trust. Which one you trust more, you choose the one that's a mix of your two friends. But you do not recognize where it comes from. All right?
But now you saw that, so we are going to be aware.
Yes, yeah. This is all about it. Or they get your own face and they mix it with somebody else, and that's the one, the result is the one you trust more. So, of course, there's people who knows what faces you like, and who are your friends, and who are you, and have plenty of pictures with the faces clearly spotted on the pictures. And I mean, it's a couple of years when you go online to YouTube and they generate an advertisement in real time for you with your friends' faces over there that you just buy. I mean, with all they know about you, I'm very sure they can sell us whatever they want to sell us. Who to vote, what to buy, what to think, and they can craft. They are between us and reality, so they can craft the reality for us. And there are other funnier things, like if you forget to remove your fitness sensors, they can go and sell you stuff right at the right moment, right? Because they know what you're doing. And in a couple of years, we'll be walking on the street with our glasses, and every face will be clearly spotted. And through face recognition and geolocation, we can tell exactly who's who, and click on the face and instantly know things about them, like whatever, where they live, how many kids they have, how much they do every month, what sort of food they eat, their age, any legal problems, IQ, religion, whatever. I mean, I know how to do that today. Probably you do know too, if you use Facebook. And of course, the street cameras can do the same, right? It's not just our glasses that can do that. And the cameras on shops can do that too, of course. And they can go even farther, like body measures, how much sex they had in the last 2 years, whether it was casual or with a boyfriend, what's the pattern, how long have they have been without a boyfriend, what sort of music they like. I mean, everything is online. Think maybe they are Tinder, right? Or they buy data from Tinder. Or when you go to a job interview, this is a screenshot from Black Mirror. If you haven't seen it, this is a good one to start with. It's an excellent show. You go to job interview, they know everything about you. They just ask you to know how you react, of course. Of course, they have LinkedIn, but they also have Facebook, where you put your personal things, or your pictures online, or your Twitter, where you tweet what you eat. So So they know everything about you. And there are a couple of studies where they took the same CV and they sent it to different companies with different names. They just changed whether it was a man or a woman. And not surprisingly, sadly, the man had better opportunities to get a job. And they also changed it for Afro-American names or Indian names, clearly Indian names, or clearly Native American or saxophone, well, English, pure English names. And there was a clear difference on who has what opportunity. And they also changed it and sent CVs with kids and without kids. And there was a difference there. So there's information online that affects everything in your life. And you're lying to yourself if you believe your Facebook is separate from your LinkedIn. I can tell you today how there's a person's salary, how it evolved in the last years just by looking at how they update their LinkedIn and the prices in the market. And you can know whether they're willing to take a lower salary when they change jobs or not. And while I was working on this presentation, I got this email from LinkedIn, amazingly. They offered me to link my contacts and agenda and calendar so they can send me information in advance when I go to a meeting. So it's there. I'm not making it up. And if you want to get a visa or to go to a country, and if they're not using Facebook to know about you, they're not doing their job. I mean, things are going to happen, right? So I've been thinking about this for a couple of years. Oh, that's me. Dark. And the first thing I managed to do is think about it. Think about it, talk to my family, my friends, go to conferences, to where technology people that builds technology is, because they are closer to understanding that. It's easier for you to understand it than from my mom. Though everybody is worried when you start talking to them. And I started going to schools, primary schools, secondary schools to talk about it. And then I started to tell people, why don't you go to your kids' school to talk about it? And then I came out to other thoughts. And it's basically, we need to understand technology and dominate it and be the masters of it. And understand what it means, what can we do with it, what can somebody else do with it. When we use technology, we need to be, as users, critical. Choose the applications we use. I believe this is going to be slow. We're in the beginning of this, and if we're going to make any change, it's going to be slow. So one of the things we can do as users is to choose the applications that give us at least a little bit more privacy, because that makes a bias in the market for companies to worry about privacy. And if we can, as users, turn privacy into a feature that users want, then they will have an incentive to give us privacy. So as users, I think it's very important to choose the technology we use and to slowly use and prefer things that give us a little bit more privacy. All right? I don't use WhatsApp. I use Telegram, but there are other options. This one is the best, the most secure, but it's not so easy to use. This one, people are arguing whether it's secure or not. This is all encrypted chats. I believe this one is secure enough today compared to how easy it is to use. I use a firewall on my phone. I use an application that's called X-Privacy that blocks the access to all of my information for any application asks me whether I want to give the access to my contacts. And then as a technology creator, I think that doing open source software that gives others the possibility to dominate the technology is a good move, if only for that. When I think about doing software, I think very hard, how do I keep user's information in the hand of the user, not in a big database. And I think centralized databases and any database that can be asked for information has to be avoided if possible. And I think there are cryptographic solutions for most problems, to solve most problems without using a centralized database, but it's more expensive. But I think it's time to think, when we do technology and create new things, it's time to think how what we do affects society and everybody, all right? The people behind the bomb, some stopped to think about it. Like, they got together and thought about it, and then maybe they did it anyway, but at least they thought about it. All right, so I think we need to start being critical on what we do. It's not, from today at least, it's not valid anymore to just do things because you can't do them. Because the things we do affect people's life. All right? So I think if we want to do something for privacy, yeah, this is my turn. We got to start now doing it. And it's everybody here doing something small, like with the environment, all right? It's slowly first realizing there's a problem, talking about it, and then maybe supermarkets will start selling green applications that care a little bit more about privacy, and people will start choosing that. And then suddenly, maybe in the market, it's going to be a differentiator whether an application is green or not. All right? It's the same. I think the process and what we have to do as a movement, if you want to do it, it's similar to the green movement, where people slowly started to think about it, talk about it, and choose greener things. So I'm saying privacy. I'm not talking about security, which is a big concern for privacy, right? But as users, we need to start thinking about that. And as technology makers, we need to care. That's it. Thank you. I saved some time for questions I'd like to discuss with you. Yeah.
So, I think that there are two reasons. But there are two ways of reason about care. Because, okay, I agree with you. But there are two things that give me some motive. One is I'm not doing anything wrong. No thank you. Second, they are storing so much information that they won't be able to make sense.
All right.
Not like this.
No, of course not. First, this is a very common question. Like, I have nothing to hide, I'm doing nothing wrong. Actually, there's important people that think that if there's something, well, it's written there, right? And he was Google's CEO. And I think that's completely wrong for many things. On one side, if you don't have anything to hide, like if he doesn't have anything to hide, would he give me his email password? I'm pretty sure he won't. All right? But then, it's not black or white. We tell different things to different people, and that's not lying. That's not really lying. We have different aspects of our life, and it's a whole life. It's one life. So there are things we want some people to know, and there's things we want other people to know, and there's other people. And I talk to my fathers in one way and about one thing, and I talk to you different than when I talk to other people. So it's not black or white. And online, it's all merged. And it's very easy to correlate and to know who's who using faces if you have to go so far. And the people's doing it. So it's not a question of if you have anything or not to hide. It's a question of whether you in your life have present different aspects to different people, to the people in your job. Do they know you smoke marijuana? Do you want them to know? Well, if it's on Facebook or if you tweet about it, they will know it. All right? So, and then for how long? You don't have anything to hide. For whom? From whom? I mean, from the next dictator or the next witch hunt or the next crazy in the government? I mean, it's a long, the future is very long. How do you know you won't have enemies in the future? And the data is going to be there forever. So, I don't know. That's a question I'm wondering how to answer. But, yeah.
So, I don't know how many people have watched this awesome video called Why You Shouldn't Talk With Me. You have not? You should.
What?
There's a video that you get on the web, it's a lecture called Why You Should Not Talk to the Web. And it's given by a professor of law. Basically, the problem is, well, it cannot help it. Right? There is no way at all to talk to the police in public because anything you say may be against and not against. If you say something and it's good for you, it doesn't matter. That is not part of the consideration. So the other side of it is, well, so how many laws are there that you could break? Well, that's about 10,000. And everybody that tries to count how many crimes there are in the U.S. has lost count. Even the official reports of law cannot count how many crimes there are. So, for instance, you may say at some point some random stuff that has no consequence whatsoever, such as at some point in my life I had a lobster of such and such stuff. Great, you just violated the Safety Act, and for that you can be fined or whatever. So, this notion that you have nothing to hide only makes sense if you know exactly all the laws are on. And you don't know. So, and that's just a benevolent interpretation of what the video you see more. So, seriously, I'd rather just not know it.
Okay.
No more questions?
No more time.
All right.